So the backstory is I've been very sick all week. I have been sick since Saturday with vomiting and not being able to keep anything down. I couldn't even drink water and had to go to the emergency room to get 2.5 liters of saline. I still haven't eaten anything in over a week because it makes me sick when I do. Long story short, my wife, who hasn't really helped much around the house while I've been working from home with this sickness, I'm on commission only, so I must work for income, said that me being this sick is giving her the ick. Obviously, this rubbed me the wrong way a lot, and when I brought that up to her, she said that it just very much changes our relationship seeing you myself this way. And she's not sure if she could be attracted to me again after seeing me this way. What should or can I do from here, because I feel like I didn't really do anything wrong. I never asked her for help or anything, so I'm not sure why she feels this way. Story 1. Normally, I dislike the advice that immediately suggests ending a relationship, but if this is true, it's a serious red flag that your wife admits to feeling differently about you just because you're sick for a week. Do you remember the line "in sickness and in health" from the wedding ceremony? She seems quite unkind if she's being serious. No offense, but that's really troubling for her to say to you directly, and I think you should reconsider this relationship as well. Just for fun, you could tell her that when she's on her period, it bothers you. Story 2. I'm sorry, bro. This woman doesn't love you. Usually, I don't promote divorces, but she will betray you in all sorts of ways and drain you until you get away. Make arrangements to protect your assets. Also, I'm looking at your history, and I see you may have suspected that your relationship with this woman is bad. Speak to a lawyer and do what you can to keep your assets and money. Story 3. In my opinion, she's worthless as a wife and only sees you as a financial tool. Fortunately for you, she made a mistake and revealed her true colors. Do yourself a favor and plan an exit, because you're essentially wasting your life on this degenerate woman who couldn't care less even if you died. Story 4. If this isn't bait, she doesn't respect you anymore because she saw you in a moment of being weak, which can be any of the following: being sick, crying, being beaten up, losing your ability to provide, and any other thing that makes you look unmanly. Story 5. What did you do wrong? Sounds like you married the wrong woman, mostly. Maybe some of your personal decisions contributed to you getting very sick too, or maybe not. If you do not already know, it is probably not worth thinking over. Story 6. If she cannot handle a week-long flu, can you really expect the relationship to hold when you are both old and frail? If you cannot work it out by talking to each other on your own, maybe you should seek out a relationship counselor. Fix the underlying problem before it gets too bad to fix. Story 7. Unfortunately, your wife buys into the modern dating mindset that men are supposed to be superhuman in all aspects of a relationship. If you ever lose your job, I hope you have an equal or better one within 30 days. Being down on your luck is not allowed. Story 8. There is nothing for you to do. It seems she has this image that you are always supposed to be in top shape, when that is honestly unrealistic. Humans get sick. I also had what you are experiencing, minus having to go to the emergency room, but I sure felt close. If she cannot love you when you are at your lowest, then I am very concerned. And frankly, someone who responds to a sick person with, "You are giving me the ick," needs to learn a little empathy. Story 9. My fiancé was so sick one night that he literally soiled himself a little when we were in bed. I took him out and put him in the shower, changed the bed sheets, and stayed awake for the night as I was so afraid that he'd get sicker. I still think he's the most amazing human. Moral of the story: I clean stained bedclothes, and I still love him more than anything. You need a new partner, my friend. Story 10. Why do people put up with partners like this? I would hand my fiancée her marching orders that night if she said that while not helping around the house after an emergency room visit. Story 11. If you don't have kids, I strongly suggest you don't start having kids and mentally figure out if you can rescue this relationship. If you assume the most favorable reason, she's just immature and got caught up in trends, then give something like this a try. Tell her midweek that on the weekend you will talk to her about something serious, and you're both going to stay in until the topic is resolved. When she asks what it's about, tell her that her comment about the ick is unacceptable, and you're collecting your thoughts and will talk on the weekend. Ask for the time because you don't want to say something out of turn when you haven't had time to process. Go about your week as normally as possible. On the day of, talk to her about why her comment and approach to you being sick was inappropriate. Stay away from mentioning your hurt feelings. Stay away from the concept of disrespect. Stick to the fact that you were sick, probably contracted a virus, and it affected you. Sit her down seriously and say it was inappropriate. You didn't expect your wife to ignore the in sickness and in health part of the vows, and you're now seriously contemplating if this marriage is at risk. Wait until she responds. If she doesn't agree to a serious discussion and apologize, tell her that is still unacceptable and walk away. Be distant and courteous, and even ask her to sleep in the guest room or on the couch. Be firm. After a day or two, if she doesn't come around to apologize, you know what you have: a poor life partner. Leave and upgrade. It should not be too hard since she set the bar so low. Story 12. That she uses the word ick in a serious manner, especially for you being sick, is a big red flag. She should stop being a piece of shit and apologize immediately. Story 13. That is unfortunate. For now, I would ignore it and focus on getting better. Then, if you can, sit down with her and explain how what she said to you hurt you and see if she truly thinks that way. Being sick like that for a week is unpleasant. If she cannot handle that small issue, she will eventually discover that consequences will follow. And consider the possibility that one or both of you will eventually go through a significant health problem. That is when you will discover if your partner is genuinely there for you. You do not have to do anything, but you may be better informed if you can eventually learn how she truly thinks about you. Story 14. The ick? What is she, 19, 20? So much for in sickness and in health. A person who loves you will never tell you that, especially over something as small as being sick. What are you supposed to do? Not be sick for her eyes? I think she's not mature enough for a relationship. I don't know her, and she seems like a rude person. Story 15. I was literally dying on the kitchen floor, bleeding internally, and my wife rolled her eyes and assumed I was exaggerating the man flu. That was back when social media was making fun of men for that. I ended up in the intensive care unit for 3 days. Story 16. I'm sorry, but just by reading that, it seems you married a scumbag of a person. A real woman and man should stick together no matter what, and be each other's support. If she loses respect for you like she did, just for you being sick, I have nothing else to tell you than just plan to leave. It will only get worse. Don't waste your life on someone without 1% of empathy and humanity. Hope there aren't kids involved. Best of luck to you, dude. Hope everything turns out as best as it can in such a situation. Story 17. Normally, Reddit jumps to divorce. But is she being serious? Is she seriously saying she isn't attracted to you anymore because you got sick? That's really gross, dude. What an awful person. Story 18. She's an adult saying, ick. She doesn't love you. Stop being weak and end the relationship. Does she even have a job? Please don't tell me you're worried about someone without financial stability. Story 19. You know how you feel compassion for her when she's sick, hurt, or struggling? That's not what she feels. She feels disgust at your weakness. Compassion only goes one way for women, towards her. The only person a woman feels for is herself. This different reaction to seeing your significant other hurt is because you are a good person, and she is not. She's a terrible human being. When people tell you who they are, listen to them. Story 20. I'm so sorry. This woman doesn't love you. It's too bad you didn't see this before you got legally and financially entwined with her. Who speaks like this to another person, let alone their spouse? You should tell her that her selfishness and lack of empathy give you the ick, right before you tell her you are leaving her, because it's clearly time for you to plan your exit. Story 21. Sounds to me like this is just an excuse for her to tell you how she really feels about you. I'm pretty sure it has nothing to do with you being sick. Story 22. Sounds like she doesn't love you. She loves what you provide her. This is toxic, and as someone who experienced a similar one-sided relationship, I am now single. Story 23. Is she trying to be your ex-wife? What happened to for better or for worse? Her saying that instead of being empathetic and compassionate is a much bigger issue big enough to reconsider the relationship. Story 24. That comment for me would mean it's over. If that is how she truly feels, then she needs to be shown the door and you move on. It's a shame you didn't encounter this side of her before you got married. Story 25. You need to replace the wife with a more mature one. They exist, I have one. She also takes care of me when I'm sick. You don't have to live with this. Tell her to rethink her outlook on relationships either by herself or with therapy. If she still keeps that mindset, it's not going to work out in the long term anyways. Good luck. Story 26. In my honest opinion, she sounds like a genuinely selfish and immature person. She also seems very shallow, unsympathetic, and the kind of person I avoid in life. I would focus on getting better first and then getting as far away from her as possible. Story 27. I'm sorry, but as a woman, you are married to someone who doesn't really like or love you the way you deserve to be loved. I know this is hard to hear, but there is a reason the phrase "in sickness and in health" is a gauge of a loving partnership. People who have the capacity to love you will feel empathy towards you when they see you hurting, not disgust. I'm so sorry that woman does not have the capacity to love you meaningfully. You deserve to be loved fully. Story 28. Yeah, one of the major purposes of a marriage is to be there for the gross, weird, and vulnerable stuff. Do you think this is a hemorrhoid? Moments. I also caught the flu badly a couple of weeks back and had to go to the emergency room after 4 days of no food and water. My wife and son were also sick, so we all just tried to take care of each other. This is what family is. Story 29. Something pretty similar happened to my last relationship. After almost 2 years of a great relationship, she ended up dumping me a couple weeks after I had a bad case of COVID. I'm sorry, man. Story 30. Woman here. Seeing a man sick is definitely not a turn-on, but I don't go around telling my partner, whom I am living with, that I would no longer be able to because he disgusts me when he's sick. I mean, isn't the whole point of marriage in sickness and in health? I think there may be a bigger problem here at the source, and she's using this as an excuse. Sometimes you need to leave space for someone better to come into your life who's going to love you in sickness and in health. Story 31. What on earth? It gives her the ick to see how sick you are and you're still working. It sounds like she doesn't take the "in sickness and in health" part of your marriage very seriously. If this was a different, more severe illness, what's to say she wouldn't leave you? You just got a real good look into how empathetic and caring your wife is. I would think long and hard about being married to someone who is this uncaring. Story 32. It just very much changes our relationship seeing you, myself, this way. And she's not sure if she could be attracted to me again after seeing me this way. You didn't do anything wrong. She's just shallow. How long were you with her before marriage? Because this sort of personality flaw is something that should be covered before marriage. Story 33. Not very empathetic, nor loving. Life sometimes throws these curveballs at us. It's up to us to see things for what they are and act appropriately. I feel what you're going through, my friend. I'm dealing with a serious bout of dengue for the past week. I'm blessed to have a supportive, loving wife who went through this with me, literally running to the hospital and climbing papaya trees to get me the leaves. The papaya leaf juice is really the only thing that offers relief from the horrible body aches. Hope you get well, my friend. Take care. Story 34. I'm sorry, but when someone is that sick, the healthy person needs to go above and beyond to take care of them. My roommates and I have done this for each other multiple times, and we aren't married or in relationships. You help people when they are down. The fact that you are married and she doesn't understand how basic sickness works is absurd. Story 35. Divorce. If she loved you, nothing would give her the ick. That statement is so incredibly stupid, and anyone who uses it against their partner definitely doesn't love them that much. Story 36. Wow. Forget that unpleasant person you found there. My now wife experienced a bout of food poisoning during one of our weekends alone when we first started dating. This was usually our only intimate time during the week, so it was a bit disappointing. However, I understood. I let her know where the Pepto-Bismol was, how to use the warm bidet water, and that I'd be downstairs doing dishes while she was in the bathroom. I told her to text me if she needed anything and to come downstairs when she felt better so we could watch something on the television. Upset stomachs are unpleasant. Story 37. Based on your post history, it sounds like she is using this as an excuse to behave the way she has been, blaming you for her lack of attraction that she has been harboring for some time. Based on this post alone, I would say she is not worth your time. That is a disgusting thing to say to your partner, and I imagine if your roles were reversed, she would be furious. It's so much better to be alone than in a relationship like this where you're being hurt all the time. Lying beside someone who doesn't want to touch you, night after night, is the loneliest place on earth. Being by yourself is a far better option here. Ask her how she would feel if she were sick and you said that. Tell her that she appears to be trying to blame you for her behavior, and I would also recommend telling her you want out. Anyone who thinks it's appropriate to say something like that is highly unlikely to get better, and you'll waste more of your time trying to wait it out when change is not coming. I'm sorry, mate. I hope that you find happiness without her. Story 38. I get the ick from eating eggs that taste a little too much like egg, or having my nails a little too long. I have not once gotten the ick from taking care of my man when he's feeling ill. With that being said, find a divorce attorney and head that way, please. Story 39. What did you do wrong? You got sick, obviously. The ick thing is just a very infantile and frankly toxic way of saying that the person, in one way or another, doesn't live up to their expectations of what is ideal. Personally, I've heard people get the ick from very minimal things like having brown shoes or using certain emojis when texting, to things that sound like they're rooted in something deeper like talking about happy memories or being kind to your mother. Your wife has a certain image in her head about how men are supposed to be, that we're supposed to be strong and protectors so no disease can take us down, and you being sick made you look weak. Her image of the strong man has been shattered because, even though she's your wife, she wants you to never be weak. To me, this is really just a tacit admission that she doesn't want honesty in the relationship, in the sense that you can truly be and feel with her what you are and what you're feeling. If you're feeling sick, you cannot show her that you're sick. She wants you to, even when on the brink of death, man up and appear tough. Otherwise, her interest is going to dry up. If you want to save that marriage, she needs to understand that humans get sick and that what she said was an awful thing to say. The pessimist in me tells me that she'll just take offense to the accusation that she was awful. But that's how it is. Alternative theory. She could also just be lying and making this up as a test, to see how you react to her claiming that you aren't attractive to her, which is also toxic. Whatever the case, she needs to reevaluate her priorities and delete TikTok. Personally, this is your cue to get out, assuming you don't have kids.